I suppose I should talk about one of the less fun challenges so that it doesn't sound like this was just a lark in which I sat down one day and just started writing and 15 months later I had a finished novel and here I am. It wasn't quite like that. One of the difficult challenges I experienced was creating characters. As a historian, I don't have to do that. I just have to find out information about people who were real and who left traces of their lives. So when I'm doing that kind of work, I'm thinking, okay, am I getting the factual details right, but am I also presenting this person as they really were, because I want to be accurate. As a novelist, I wanted my characters to be plausible, realistic, believable, but who they were, that was all on me. And that proved to be difficult because I didn't want to create characters that were based on real-life individuals, particularly in the case of Ellis Voigt, our protagonist and narrator. I wanted him to be a creation entirely of my own mind. Now, I know that there are influences on me, and in creating Ellis, I probably unconsciously, as well as in some cases, consciously absorbed details about historical figures I'm familiar with and stirred them in and created them. But creating authentic characters, particularly the main characters, was a difficult challenge. And that leads me also to another challenge I experienced that I've never really had as a historian. What are these characters supposed to do? You create this individual and then they're looking at you like, all right, should I go down this street? Should I be making this phone call? Tell me what to do. And I'm like, as a historian, I just let the documents tell me what happened next. But I had to create this story, and it took me a long time to learn. There was a lot of trial and error in the writing, that creating a plot can be a bad idea as a novelist, because the plot can take over your characters, and you begin having them do things that you believe as their creator, as an author, are necessary to advance the plot, but which are not true to them. And it's necessary to not ask, when you're trying to create something from nothing, what could happen next, or what should Ellis do, but rather, what would Ellis do? What would a 26-year-old's Lieutenant J.G. in the Office of Naval Intelligence do next to solve his problem, uncover the espionage, solve the murder? So once I began to think a lot more like a novelist, someone who has responsibility for his creations, and as I began to become better at being authentic to them, the writing of the story became easier. And I was able to work my way through to the ending. I had a vague notion of what the ending should be, but I suppose I recognized deep down that I shouldn't plot it out exactly, because then I might be forcing my characters into doing something that they wouldn't do. This slowed down the writing process considerably. I often had to spend a lot of time thinking about what the characters would do, and spending time thinking about what that would likely be, rather than just making something up. Being true to the characters was an unexpected challenge, but a very rewarding one. So that's the background on the novel and some of the challenges, both expected and unexpected, in doing it. Let me say just a little bit more about another element of the story, and then I'll share a little bit of the book with you. I mentioned at the start of my remarks that I'm fascinated with Soviet espionage. As many of you may know, the Soviet Union had many spies within the Manhattan Project, the top secret program to build the atomic bomb. Many of them were Americans. And the evidence of this espionage was not discovered until after the war was over. And in fact, most of us, almost all of us Americans, didn't know how it was uncovered until 20 years ago, when the existence of the top secret Venona project, done by a predecessor of the National Security Agency, was made public. This was an amazing cryptography project that captured Soviet radio transmissions, broke the code, and then discovered the evidence that was being stolen from the atomic bomb program and transmitted to the Russians. Historically, accurately, this occurs in 1947. As a novelist, the question that presented itself to me was, what if the evidence was discovered while the war was going on? And what if it wasn't discovered through the capture of radio transmissions in a cryptography project? That would be a fun novel to write, but I'm not qualified to write that, because that's some research I don't think I want to undertake, mastering World War II era cryptography. I'm much happier studying nightclubs and luncheonette menus. So what if it was discovered at the time the war was going on and when the war was drawing to a close? And that was really appealing to me because that allowed me to reveal details in the story that readers today will immediately recognize as evidence of the atomic bomb. This didn't require getting into a lot of technical information. Just mentioning uranium-235, for example, or the top secret weapons program in Los Alamos is enough for us to understand what's going on. But the characters can't know. So Ellis Voigt, our narrator, has no idea what uranium is for. His commander doesn't know. But it is known that there is this project in Los Alamos that some of the best and brightest minds in the American, indeed the global scientific community are down there, and money is pouring in by the tens of millions, and it's not being tracked. Something big's going on. So that was really appealing to me, to change the history of the espionage and the discovery of that espionage and fold it into my story. And then massage or work out that tension between having that plot, having that problem, and making sure my characters were solving it in a way consistent with them, in a plausible way for the time period and the system.